I know I usually cover VTuber news, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the world that I want to comment on that I think is really interesting, that I think you guys might be interested in as well. The first thing I want to talk about is ISIS, YouTube, and the Supreme Court. Have you ever tried to start your own YouTube channel? Did you struggle for months or even a year to get monetized? Does the algorithm kick you while you're down every single time and make you absolutely struggle to succeed and not understand how or why? Well, joke's on you, chucklefuck, because ISIS is monetized on YouTube. Or at least they were. You see, what happens is ISIS keeps starting these new channels and getting monetized, and not all of their videos violate YouTube's terms of service. And since they have so many channels and upload so many videos, and a lot of them don't get reported, there's a lot of ISIS content that went unmoderated. Now, obviously, we don't want terrorists to have YouTube channels to spread their propaganda and whatnot, right? I feel like that's not an unreasonable request to tell one of the biggest social media platforms in the world to moderate out terrorist content. Right, that's not an insane ask. However, YouTube is currently being sued for not successfully moderating out ISIS content. And you might think, great, to hell with YouTube, I hope they get sued, to hell with ISIS, right? Well, not so much, not so fast. You see, the thing is, the way the lawsuit is worded is going to, if it succeeds, make social media platforms liable for the content that appears on their site. And you might not think that's a big deal. You might say, who the fuck cares? It's a massive deal because the last time something like this happened, there were a lot of knock-on effects. Do you guys remember when the government instituted that sex trafficking act that made websites liable for advertisements that in any way contributed to sex trafficking? You know what happened after that? Craigslist took off their entire personal section. Multiple subreddits just out and out deleted. Multiple websites just straight up gone. It had a huge ripple effect. Hell, that's even the motivation between Tumblr taking off lewds and nudes from their website, banning porn from their website. And y'all remember how that went and how everybody hated that. And it was this huge knock-on effect because everyone was trying to evade these bans and overcorrected because nobody wants to be liable. So if you make them liable for terrorist content, that's going to have another series of knock-on effects where YouTube and other social media sites are just going to get way more brutal with their moderation. And this is going to have huge effects for free speech because if they're so afraid of getting sued over the slightest thing, that's going to impact the content creator and that's going to impact you, the viewer. Look, I'm not defending YouTube not successfully moderating out terrorists, but we do not want internet platforms to be treated as a publisher or speaker of the information provided by its users. If somebody defames somebody else using YouTube's platform, that's not YouTube's fault. Look, if the internet is going to be even remotely usable, platforms need some way to sift through the deluge created by the absolute massive amount of content that appears on their platform. And a lot of it is just untenable. The way it is now, the amount of moderation they employ isn't enough. And if you put a metaphorical gun to their head and say, moderate out, XYZ content when they're already failing and they're at threat of being sued, this is going to have massive knock-on effects. The next story that I want to talk about is CEO of YouTube, Susan Wojiscki, is stepping down from YouTube. In her letter to creators, she cited issues with her health, a desire to return to her family, and work on some personal projects. Now, mind you, this doesn't mean that she's going to vanish from the Google ecosystem altogether. She's still going to be an advisor to Google and another company called Alphabet. She's still going to exist. She's still going to do a bunch of stuff behind the scenes. She's just no longer at the top. But if she's not at the top, that means Chief Product Officer Neil Mohan is the new head of YouTube. A lot of people are saying that Ludwig should interview Neil Mohan, and I think he should. I mean, he interviewed Susan Wojiscki. Why not the new CEO? This is not a confirmed announcement, just something that I hope happens because I think it is interesting to see where this new individual is going to take the platform. I mean, shit, it can't be any worse than what it is now, right guys? Right guys? It can't get worse than this, right? The next thing I want to talk about is Andrew Tate. You remember that guy who's like super pro freedom of speech and anti-cancel culture? Well, KSI called him out on his bullshit. And so Andrew Tate responded by putting a bounty on KSI. To be specific, a moderator on his Discord with the screen name Luke appears to be instructing people to make videos condemning KSI. Quote, going to make a KSI canceled bounty as well. Whoever gets the most views on a video showing that KSI needs to be condemned and canceled. The world needs to know KSI is a hypocrite who has done horrible things and that he should be canceled himself. You have 48 hours for this one. The best video wins. Now, KSI himself has just sort of laughed off the whole thing, about 5 laughing emojis worth of giving a fuck. So judging by his response, it's pretty clear that he's not worried about this alleged threat, but I do still think it's absolute bullshit that people are putting a bounty on someone's head to cancel someone on the internet. You already know what my platform is. You already know what my stance is. If you've watched any of my older content, I fucking hate cancel culture. It is a cancer on society. It needs to end. So the fact that somebody I despise as much as Andrew Tate is trying to contribute to cancel culture makes me hate him more, and I didn't think that was possible. But that's everything that I wanted to talk about. I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye, guys.